Do you have any collection questions? You can ask me anything on this live today. How we doing? What's up, my Facebook family? How we doing? What's up, Miss Londa, Miss Yamina? How we doing? All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about debt collection. If you have any collections on your credit report, this is where you could come to ask questions. I'm gonna try to do this type of live every Saturday. Look at it around about this time. If you have any family members or if you're going through it, any type of collection, did you receive any type of communication from a debt collector? Let me see. I'm gonna put this link in the comment box so you all can, because I can't really see whose name is it on Facebook. So you'll actually have to click this link so you can give StreamYard permission so I can see who's making the comments. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about debt collection. If you got any collections on your credit report, now once I get through going over what I'm gonna go over with debt collection, you can ask any question you want to about if you have some type of credit. If I can answer it, I will answer it. Lifestyle 24/7, 365. The Secrets TLC are not credit repair. We do not repair credit. We teach you, we show you how to repair credit, and we show you some of the stuff that we learned from my experience, or I learned from my experience rather. All right, so I want to go into talking about the do's and don'ts of debt collectors. The do's and don'ts of debt collectors. Let me put this in the comments real quick. All right, so if you got any debt collection letters, please have those ready before we have our live. At least if you have the letters in front of you, you'll have better questions as to if they're pursuing you, just sending you letters, if they're texting you, if they're even trying to sue you. Now, if you're already in a lawsuit, my advice to you is to go ahead and find you a consumer lawyer, especially a lawyer that specializes in debt collection that's in either your county or your state. Now, sometimes a lawyer can be in your state, but they only do like certain jurisdictions. If you're in the northern part of the state, they may not pursue debt collection cases in the southern part of the state. So you just have to check around. The hardest thing for me when I was doing my when I was being sued by a debt collector and I was trying to find a lawyer, the hardest thing was to find a consumer lawyer. That's the hardest thing to do. The easiest thing to do is to get the debt collector off your back before it gets to a lawsuit. So if you sit on a collection letter and just let it fester thinking it's gonna go away, it is not going to go away. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now. Always, if a debt collector send you a letter, always answer the debt collector, because you do have the right to know why they're collecting, and there's so much stuff to debt collection. It can't be done on one. It could be done on one live. I can do a whole live if you want. If you want me to do a whole live on debt collection, I have to prepare that for you. That'd be like a live course, to be truthful. But all this information that I'm giving you is free, y'all. So don't let nobody think that they got the secret. They know more than what you know. No, all of this information is free. All you got to do is do your homework, do your research. And if you don't want to do your homework, do your research, that's why it's hard for you to find this information. But never ignore a debt collection letter, because bad debt is expensive. Bad credit is expensive. But if you want me to do a whole debt collection live, you can drop them hearts, them ones. You just drop it in the comments. Tell me what you want. You can also put in the comments like what you want me to talk about on my next live. That kind of helps out with what me sharing, kind of helping you with the question that you have. I have some people that are very, very shy, don't want people to know. But if you just type in the comment box what you want us to talk about next Saturday, that's fine. But let's talk about the do's and don'ts of a debt collector. So when we're dealing with a debt collector, A debt collector, first of all, cannot contact you, and I'm not gonna go into all the laws like the 15 USC 1692A 92 B. Those are all your debt collection laws. Okay, is what this in the FDCPA, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. But debt collectors cannot. They may not do they cannot do a lot of things. They cannot harass, oppress you. They can't abuse you. Like for example, they can't call you and tell you that you owe this. You got to pay me. They can't curse you. They can't raise their voices at you. They can't make you feel bad. They even they can't threaten you. Okay, they cannot threaten you. All right. Also, a debt collector cannot keep repeatedly calling you. That means a debt collector, according to the TCPA, the Telecommunication Practices Act, they can only contact you once per every 7 days. Okay, a debt collector can only contact you once per every 7 days. Now, a debt collector cannot lie to you on the phone either. So when they call you, they can't tell you that they are from a government agency, and they're not. Uh, they can't tell you that somebody's gonna come get you and throw you in jail. They can't say that you're going to prison because if you don't pay this debt. They can't tell you that they work for a credit reporting company because credit consumer reporting agencies, they have their own laws too. 15 USC 1681. They have to abide by those laws too. So debt collectors are 15 USC 1692 laws, and consumer reporting agencies are the 15 USC 1681 laws. And they can't threaten to sue you when they have no legal right to sue. Okay. They can also tell you that they're gonna garnish your wages if they're not legally liable to garnish your wages. And that's why I say when you get a communication or a letter or any type of communication from a debt collector, answer it. Don't be scared to answer it. That's the whole reason why we're in this secret TLC Facebook group. So you can learn when they contact you, you know how you better fit to handle it. You know what to say, what not to say, because if you don't answer them, okay, you're allowed to do like a validation of debt. Anytime a debt collector call you, you're allowed to do like a validation of debt. And when they send you that, if they choose to send you that letter first, if they choose to send you that debt collection letter first, excuse me, there is a window. They have 30 days to validate the debt. Okay, because anybody can send you a letter in the mail saying you owe them. Okay, only way that you know for sure if you took an account out with that debt collector and never go into an agreement with a debt collector. Okay, you know if you had the debt, and you know that you probably owe that debt to that certain original creditor, but you don't owe the debt collector. First of all, the reason why they say don't pay collections is from the 15 USC 1692 C. That's the only law that I know that you can refuse to pay a debt because you don't owe the debt collector. You never went into an agreement with the debt collector, and if you did, that was a bad mistake. Also, you could tell them that you refuse to pay the debt, and you never went into a contract with that debt collector. All right. So that's the reason why they say don't pay collection, or we say don't pay collection because you don't owe the debt collector. And when we say debt collector, y'all, we saying a third party entity, a third party business that is not even connected to the original creditor. They do not work for the original creditor may assign it, but they're not binded like corporate ownership. That's what I'm trying to say, like corporate ownership. Okay, we're talking about a third party debt collector. So there's a window. The debt collector has 30 days to validate the debt. But I always like to speak and say that you got that 30 days, right? They sent you the letter, the day that you received the letter, okay? Now, I'm going to piggyback real quick because I think y'all need to really know this. A debt collector by law just has to show that they mailed that debt collection letter out to you. If the letter doesn't get to you, they've done what they're supposed to do by law. So by law, the debt collector just has to show that they mailed it and they are allowed to use your last known address. Now, if they send out that debt collection letter to your last known address and you had moved by the time they actually mailed that letter out to you, you just need to show proof, especially if they're trying to sue you for that debt. You just need to show proof that you weren't living at that address at the time. So anytime you move, I do want to give you a word of advice. I always do that. You know, the thing you do when you go to the post office where you change address form. Always do a change of address because the post office keeps track of it. So you can have that change of address form. You can use your lights where you get your service disconnected from that service. I mean, from that address. Anything that you can use to prove that you moved, especially when that debt collector had mailed that to you, then that's one way you can kind of get around with them trying to sue you. All right. Uh, when they send you that letter, a debt collector only just has to show that they sent it by law. All right. So, say for instance, you got the letter. They got that you see the letter, and if you wait now, debt collectors can. I'm gonna tell you right now, a debt collector will put the account on your credit report. Not saying that they are, but they can put that account, that collection on your credit report, and they can sue you for a debt. So if somebody's telling you that a debt collector cannot sue you for a debt, a third party debt collector can sue you for a debt, and let me tell you why. If you don't answer that lawsuit, if you don't answer the lawsuit, they're going to get a default judgment for you in which they can garnish your wages, they can levy your bank accounts, they can use whatever means they need to get any type of money from you because they have a judgment against you because you never did show up for the court date. So what I'm trying to do is get you prepared so that you won't have to go through this process. All right. So now you got the letter in the mail. You open the letter up. They that in that letter, 9 times out of 10, they'll give you, like, if you count it, and this is a trick. This is how they get you. This is how they get you because by the time that date is up, that's on that Form B. It's called a Form B letter that they're supposed to send you. A copy of that letter is on the CFPB website, but it's called a Form B letter, debt collection letter, and they'll give you like 45 days from the date that they have actually on their letter. And notice the 45 days is past the 30 days, right? So by law, they've sent you that letter, and it's got to have those 5 things inside of that letter. So when they send you that debt collection letter and they tell you, say for instance, the debt collection letter say January 1st, and they say you need to respond back to us by February the 15th, they'll give you 45 days, knowing that they only have 30 days to validate the debt, which they've already given you that information. But if you get confused, just screenshot, text it to me. But knowing that they put the information that they had to validate that inside of that Form B letter, and when you don't respond within that 30 days, they can they can file a lawsuit against you. Now, notice the 30 days have passed. You decided you wanted to ignore. You decided you wanted to ignore the debt collection letter, right? And that 30 days then passed. They done filed a lawsuit against you, and you get a summons. But you look at the letter and they say you respond by February 15th. They can do that because they're allowed 30 days to validate the debt. Now, let me tell you something else. When you get that letter, there is a 14-day window with inside that 30 days. It's called the safe harbor rule for debt collectors, right? That means that if you don't respond to that debt within 14 days, they can assume it valid. They can assume that the debt is valid. That at that point, the debt collector will go and try to report, if it's not already reporting on your credit report, the debt collector will go and report it on your credit report. That's another way to coerce you to paying, because they know once they put that collection on your credit report, it drops your score big time. Collections, I've seen a collection on my credit report drop 48 points. One collection, and let me tell you how much that collection was. That collection was $14. So mind you, you'd be like, why you got a $14 collection? Just pay it. I don't even know who the company was. Make it so bad when they put it on my credit report, there was not even an account number. There was an original creditor's name, which I never heard that doctor's office before. Some GCI radiology, whatever it was. I never heard of that. And the amount was $14. I'm like, $14 drop my credit 48 points. On your credit report, it does not make a difference how much that collection amount is. All collections bear the same weight. You can have you can have a dollar collections on your credit report, and it would have still took my credit score down 48 points. I could have had a $3,000 collection account on my credit report, and it would have dropped me down 48 points. All right, so if you'd have made it this far to in my live, go ahead and tag some people inside of the group. But the only way that they're able to join this live or watch this live, they have to become a member, and it's free to become a member of the Secret TLC Facebook group. So, with that being said, hi family, this is Quad, your consumer law bestie. The most important thing you can ever do for yourself is repair, build, and restore your credit. Sure, you may have a great credit score, but there's always room for improvement. Learning how to get negative items deleted from your credit report, inaccurate items deleted from your credit report, and getting remedy at the same time is the best feeling ever. But the only person that can do that is you. You have to take action. You have to make the decision on whether you should make a better life for you and your family. At the Consumer Scholars University, Qua is here to help. Your consumer law bestie. 15-day window tells them that you're admitting that the debt is valid. So they'll go and try the credit report. All right. But they still have the 30-day window to validate the debt to you. So you can validate the debt by asking them, writing them a letter, telling them to validate the debt. Or if you know you didn't have that debt at all, if you know that you didn't have that debt at all and they just try to contact you and get money, you can send them a cease and desist letter. But y'all, stop sending these validation of debt letters claiming identity theft. Anytime you watch my lives and I'm showing you how to pursue a debt collector, I'm getting you prepared for a consumer lawyer to litigate, because there's so many y'all. The credit game is saturated. These companies got, when these same templates be going into them companies, they're setting their system up to ignore you, either ignore you, or they're finding ways to get around your letters. So when you watch me on live, I'm preparing you for litigation, because the only way that you can get rid of these companies is you have to sue. Sometimes the company, the lawsuit doesn't even go through. 9 times out of 10, that debt collector has violated in some type of way. That's the whole purpose of you being in the Secret TLC group, learning what you need to learn about how to pursue these debt collectors. Because if you pursue them in court, just like they sue you for a debt, they will back off if you ask the right questions. So I'm getting you prepared to ask the right questions. And if you're afraid to do it yourself, I'm getting you set up to where once you go look for a consumer lawyer, it would be better for them to help you, because now you've got all your ducks in a row. You're not just sending out blind cease and desist letters talking about identity theft. You filing FTC reports, CFPB complaints, accusing them of identity theft, which it may be. It might have been identity theft. But make sure you're not lying about that, because if you're trying to get rid of this debt collector, the last thing you want to do is get in a position where your back is against the wall. You got to get a consumer lawyer, and you to turn around and lie. Now you done messed up your whole case, because by litigating, you can get the whole debt waive, thrown out, don't have to pay it, and you can get remedy, because you don't even have to pay the lawyer. In 15 USC 1692K, there is a built-in law clause where you don't have to pay the lawyer. The debt collector does when they violate you. Okay. Also, you get remedy for up to $1,000. Some states are different. You can get remedy under the federal laws, which is the 1692K, and you can get, if you set it up right, you can get remedy under your state laws. You can get remedy under both. Now, think about that 14-day window. Soon as you get that letter, you can either return it to sender, don't open it up at all, because sometimes some debt collectors will have their logo and you can see the logo, but they're not supposed to have a logo on the outside of the letter, nor a logo stating that they're in the debt collection business, inside or outside. It could be on the paper or it could be in outside on the letter. Those are also laws that they allow the debt collectors violate. And if you got any questions while I'm on this live, go ahead and drop it and join our mailing list if you have not joined our mailing list. When you join our mailing list, you get updates for promotions. And you also get a copy of our free personal information letter so that you can start getting your personal information cleared up, corrected, so that a lot of this stuff that's on your credit report can be, so a lot of that stuff can come off. It's just by fixing your name, your employment, your birthday, clearing up old addresses and stuff like that. Okay. So you can either take that debt collection letter, you can put return to sender, because if you never received it, if it goes back to the debt collector citing return to sender, they have to find another way to contact you. So, and you like to go through the USPS, the post office, you like to go through the mails when you do this, because you keep track of everything. If everything is on paper, you have proof of everything. All right. So if you don't want to return to sender, if you want to attack the debt collection head up, go ahead within that 14-day window. And when we say days, y'all, it's not working days. It's days, calendar days. Okay. Now, when they're talking about a debt collector contacting you on working days, they're talking about Monday through Saturday, because Monday through Saturdays are working days for debt collectors when you're talking about the law. So remember that, okay? Working days are Mondays through Saturdays. All right. So when a debt collector call you, you're counting Mondays through Saturdays. All right. But when we're talking about the validation period, we're talking about calendar days, consecutive days, weekends included. Now, you send them that validation letter if you want, or if you just know you don't owe the debt, you can send them a cease and desist letter. But when you send your cease and desist letter, tell them not to communicate with you through any means unless it's through the mails, because you want them to respond. You want them to respond back to you, because sometimes they'll try to validate the debt. Now, if, say for instance, now this is where they mess up at too. Say for instance, you send a validation of debt letter and they don't respond to you. Okay. So you didn't get no notice back or whatever within the 30 days. And after that 30 day, you gave them the 30-day period, you want to send them that cease and desist letter. Then you tell them don't contact you at all. So now when you tell them don't contact you at all, and they send you a letter back telling you what was the original creditor and all that stuff, they just violate the law, because I asked you that in the first letter when I asked you for validation and you didn't send me anything within that 30 days. Now I want you to cease all communication, and I want you to cease all credit reporting if you're reporting to all credit consumer reporting agencies that you're reporting to. What I just said that just came out of my mouth is a letter. That's the letter right there. But if you haven't sent any validation, if you're not requesting any validation, you could tell them to cease and desist. But you want to leave the option open for them to send you something in the mail, because a lot of times when they send you something in the mail, they break the law inside of the letter. So you want them to send something to you. Okay. All right. So now, if you got any questions, you can drop them in the comments. Now, you do have options when you're dealing with debt collection, and I will go through 5 options that you do have. But This is not me giving you any legal advice. I will always redirect you to a consumer lawyer, somebody that specializes in this, um, so that you can get better information, better guidance. Just from my experience, the 5 options that was actually given to me was, the first one was bankruptcy. Now, you may not want to file bankruptcy because bankruptcy put a big stain on your credit report for up to 10 years. Okay. Bankruptcy can stay on your credit report for up to 10 years. Now, bankruptcies are not all that bad. I would tell anybody, I wouldn't, the name bankruptcy is bad itself, but especially if you're trying to get a house. But a lot of times you all have so much stuff on your credit to where you wasn't going to be able to get approved for the home anyway. And especially if you just like letting bankruptcy be your last option. If your back is against the wall, you got garnishment after gun on top of garnishment. You got you got all these debt collectors trying to sue you for that. Then yes, my advice to you, I would advise no legal advice, but bankruptcy would be a good option at that time, because from my experience, that's exactly what happened to me, and I had no other choice. But I wasn't planning on buying a home or anything, so it really didn't affect me as much. So one time I just decided I said, let me apply for a house. I might could be able to get a home, but I couldn't, because I was actually informed that if I wait 2 years after my bankruptcy was discharged, then I can actually apply for a home myself, which it works. Yes, it does. But in that 2 years, if you decide to do bankruptcy, clean your credit up, get your credit right. So when you do decide to, while you're in your bankruptcy, and you do decide to purchase a home, you'll be in a better position to get the home. Okay, you see what I'm saying? You'll get the home, because when I got denied, I had collections on my credit report at the time. The bankruptcy isn't why I got denied. After my 2 year was up, the bankruptcy isn't why I got denied. The collections, the charge offs, all of those things that was on my credit report is why I got denied. Okay, so bankruptcy is not all that bad. Okay, the second option is, when the debt collector sues you, you can pursue them pro se. Pro se is when you represent yourself. But the only thing with pro se is you have to do everything. You have to file a lawsuit. You have to talk on your behalf in court, and sometimes it doesn't even get to court. If you can set that complaint up, and if you can find the violations that these debt collectors commit, they'll back off before you even go to court. Sometimes you can settle before you even go to court. They'll be paying you instead of you paying them. But you can also, the third thing, you can also settle yourself too. So option 2 and 3, pretty much you're doing it yourself. You're suing them yourself, you're going against the debt collector yourself, and you're settling with the debt collector yourself. But you're having to do everything on your own, filing a complaint, talking in court if it ever gets to that point. I know a lot of us are afraid to even walk inside of a courthouse. I can say hospitals, courthouses, and jailhouses are three places that we never want to set foot in because of the connotation they have. But when you learn your rights, when you learn how to move through these places, it's like it's just it becomes natural. But the fourth thing is you can hire a lawyer. Fifth thing is you can hire a consumer lawyer, somebody that's gonna go to court for you and fight for you in court. Which you have to think about your costs, depending on what the situation is. Sometimes you have to pay the lawyer, sometimes you don't, because depending on how the debt collector violated you, they have to pay for it within the statute of that law. And you can hire a lawyer to settle for you. So you have to think about that. And the lawyer does everything. You don't do anything. You just worry about the costs and what's going on, and how they're going to represent you and how they're going to settle. All right. And the fifth one is, fifth was the hiring a consumer lawyer. Now, if all of that is confusing, my advice to you is to hire a consumer lawyer or consult, because a lot of consumer lawyers, they do have free consultations. All right. They do have free consultation. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before I get off this live today is debt collection scams. Now, I have had some clients where they thought a debt collector was contacting them, but for some odd reason it was a fake, it was a scam. These people actually had her daughter's phone number, her son's phone number, and her phone number, and was constantly calling her back to back about a debt. I mean, literally talking crazy to her, everything, telling her how much she owed and everything. And they knew who the original creditor was. So this actual scammer did their homework before they even contacted her, but they kept calling back to back. So I helped her. I showed her how to send a letter to that company, and come to find out the company was fake. The actual debt collector that they were claiming to be didn't even have a file for her. They didn't even have a file for her. So be very careful when you are dealing with debt collectors that's constantly contacting you. When you validate that debt, that's one way of spotting a fake debt collector. So it is a lot of people would, if you know it's not your debt, I know you don't want to go through the process of waiting 30 days, but dealing with this situation, these types of situations with your credit, with debt collectors, it takes time to do this stuff, people. This is not an overnight thing. This is not an overnight event. Using that option that you have to validate, to get your that debt validated, it you can spot fake debt collectors when you do that. A lot of debt collection companies are not bad debt collection companies. Okay, I'm only speaking when you see me come on live. When I complain, I'm talking about those abusive debt collectors. But a lot of companies are not bad companies. Say, for instance, in her example, because when she validated the debt, asked for validation, debt validation, she actually found that this company did not have an account for her, a file for her. That was a scam. Okay, that was a scam. So validating the debt does prove beneficial instead of just going out sending a cease and desist, because you can spot a fake debt collector that way too. All right, so I do have my debt collection mastery course inside of the description box. Please sign up for our and join our mailing list so that you can get updates and on our promotions. And we do updates on the laws, the consumer laws, everything that you learn in Secret TLC is free information. Okay. Don't let nobody tell you that this stuff is not free. The only thing that's not free is your time and your research. And if you don't want to do either one of those, you're going to pay for it with something. You're going to pay for it with money, or you're going to pay for it with time. Okay. So, and make sure you join our YouTube family too, because it's a lot of stuff that we do on our YouTube too that you don't see inside of the Facebook group. So the Facebook, the Instagram, and our YouTube. Make sure you're checking all three platforms. If you're already on our mailing list, you got this email about the email about going live. All three platforms are in that email. You can always refer back to that same email if you have to. Okay. I want to thank you all for watching.